Welcome to the Red, White, News Show with Dean McMurray.
All right, everybody, welcome back to another great episode of the Red, White, and News Show with the Military Medium. Today, friends, I have with me Lindsay Nowlin. She is a full-time Air Force veteran. She is a lyricist. That's right, a lyricist, a dance mom, a volunteer at the VA working with women's health and advocacy work. Lindsay, welcome to the Red, White News Show.
Hello. Thank you, Dean. Appreciate the opportunity for being here today.
Absolutely. It's always fun. And especially you're right in my backyard. Like you're just in the city, right? It's kind of crazy how such a small world, when you popped up on the radar, so to speak, and the work that you're doing, just kind of popped up, and was like, we need to reach out to Lindsay to have her on the show and talk about the good work that she's doing, and really your message, because I think that's what's so powerful behind all this. But if you could, Lindsay, just give everybody kind of a brief overview who Lindsay Nowlin is.
Sure. Well, thank you. We'll roll into it. So I'm Lindsay Nowlin. I am born and raised, grew up in North Dakota, Northeast North Dakota. Went to a couple of universities in the great state of North Dakota, ended up graduating from UND with a geography degree. This was about 3 years after I had my daughter. So I was a single parent, new graduate, looking for opportunity and trying to spread my horizons somewhere. So where it landed me at the North Dakota Air National Guard. I've been there ever since. I've been in for 15 years. I've done some pretty cool things. We won't get into the jobs, but I've been very fortunate to have gone on some pretty awesome TDYs, as long as keeping us safe in the homeland. So, with that being said, I'm also, like Dean mentioned, I'm also a dance mom. My daughter has been in dance since she was 3 years old, so 15 years, they kind of go hand in hand. This year she graduates from high school. We got a dog a couple of years ago. But I guess why I'm here today is talk about the message that a little poem I wrote 3 years ago that became a produced song and came to light with the last year due to COVID, but it launched and was released last month and a half ago. So it's out there for everybody. Yeah. So it's kind of neat.
That's so awesome. If we could go back a little bit in time, Lindsay, before the point of this poem, right? Was there something maybe from the past, or, what brought you up to this poem that really sparked was really, the lyrics, or that brought you to this, of owning another label, if you will, if Lindsay could wear another hat of lyricist? How did you get to that point, going from, mom and serving in the military to, being inspired to write this?
Right. So that's a great question. Yes, a couple things had happened to me in the past. So I am a childhood trauma survivor, but that was quite a while ago. But I did have some incidences about 10 years ago that kind of like brought everything to the front of my brain and said, hey, you need to deal with this. So when I recognized that I needed some assistance, I actually self-identified and got into the VA here in Fargo. And that took about a year to get in, but I went through some protocols and some therapies there. I'm in a couple groups, which is awesome too, because when you go through traumas, you think you're all by yourself when you're not. There's a lot of other people that have a similar story. Right. So with that being said, it was almost about 3 years ago to the date. It was a very cold February winter morning in Fargo, North Dakota. I had a very bad dream. Well, bad dream vision. I don't know. Well, we can talk about that later. But it woke me up, and actually the last song lyric in the song Devil by Shinedown. That was the lyric I heard, which was probably the sign, you need to wake up. So I woke up, it was 3 o'clock in the morning, very cold out, and I looked over on my desk, and I had a notepad and a pen just like laying there. And I just got the chills like saying that. But it was calling me to like do something with why are you up at 3 o'clock in the morning? So at the time for me, I just had to purge some thoughts, and I didn't really think it would go anywhere. I just, had to write. It was probably one of the first times I started journaling, and not even really knowing where it would go. So I wrote it down. I put it in a notebook. I tucked it away. We had moved several times. And then about a year after that, well, not quite a year, but within some sort of time frame this last 3 years, I found it in the notebook. And I was like, well, I should put that in a digital format or I'm going to lose it. I'll never see it again. So I put it in my notes in my phone, and I always just carried it with me. And then last March, I am on a VA committee to promote to help assist and to promote a event we have coming up this November, but I'll get into that a little bit later. So with this committee, they asked for volunteers if anybody had any writings that they would like to turn into a song. They'd be paired up with like a local artist, and it would be for this one-time event happening here with the VA in Fargo. And I gave myself about 5 seconds, and I thought, why not? Like it was like the 5 seconds of self-doubt. I'm not gonna kid myself on that. It was like, I don't know if she should do it. Well, why not? So so I absolutely went for it. And I have a really good friend from the VA who's also on this committee. His name is Dan Hudson, and he paired me up with an artist. She does have ties to the state of North Dakota. She read the poem and it really resonated with her. So yeah, we got paired up. Dan actually gave this artist my contact information, and she reached out to me about a month later and said, hey, yeah, I would absolutely love to work with you on this. I'm an artist getting ready to release a album, but I really want this to be one of my singles on my upcoming album. Do you want to work together?
Wow.
Yeah. So it was actually very cool. She resonated with it. She's also a survivor, but that's her story, so I won't get into that. And her name is Alyssa Ruffin. The friend that tied us together. So we're going to go for the trifecta here for all three of us. My VA friend is Dan Hudson. So Dan has a writing company that he has also wrote a book of poetry, as well as a book telling about his stories in law enforcement. So we're like the three super best friends that anybody can have. And the crazy thing is, I've only known Alyssa through like Zoom and video conferences. Like
Right.
I haven't been able to meet her yet due to COVID, but Dan paired up a couple of times on some other events and activities here in the Fargo area. So
that's very cool. That's very cool.
Thanks.
Interesting how we're aligned when it's just meant to be, right? You just go back to that cold, February morning. You talk about being woke up from that dream, and here's the pen and paper and everything. Like, hey, just wake up, damn it! Go write this down so you don't forget. Go back to bed, right? And anybody that's ever woken up on a day like that knows that you usually don't want to get out of bed. It's usually nice and comfy and cozy. And so that's so awesome. It's almost like that proverbial God moment, right? And just, wow, so cool.
I might throw one more thing in. believe it was a full moon that cold morning.
So everything, when we say literally the stars aligned and everything else, she's not kidding, folks. So she's, that is so cool. That is so cool. So when we talk about this, what started off as a poem, right? Mm-hmm. So what started off as a poem becoming lyrics to the song. You know, here you had to overcome putting yourself out there. Like how was that for you? Like because now you had to come out of the quote unquote closet, right? Because it's like you had to open that door.
Absolutely. So yeah, Lindsay stayed very, very quiet and in the closet for a long time. I'm gonna say like stepping out was like, you know, here comes the brain saying, "Oh, I don't know about this." It was kind of, well, that's just it. It's the brain taking over, saying, "What, you know, I don't know if you should do this. This is all very bad." Actually, it's been very good, and a lot of people have actually come up to me and said, "Thank you for even just telling your story." Like that's pretty brave and courageous, and you know, thank you. It's we're being in the military. Sometimes we don't always take that awesome compliment. You're like, yeah, we're just doing the work. But I've also had to learn a few things like how to receive compliments and say, you know, just say thank you. I appreciate your support, and it means a lot that you're actually listening. So it was kind of tough, but like it was like just the first hurdle, and I probably plowed right through it to the next one.
I'm sure that it was very freeing at the same time, like a weight, saying, wow, I'm not being judged. Like a lot of people are accepting. They're actually moved that I was able to do that. And here, see, look, brain, look.
Yeah.
You know, we're actually changing lives by stepping into that uncomfortable zone, right? And sharing that story that's so hard to share.
Yeah, absolutely. It has been very liberating and freeing. And I will say that it's almost like I dropped the anchor at the bottom of the lake or whatever. And that's actually probably another poem, hopefully another song coming up. But
there you go. There you go.
Yeah.
So, now I don't know if we talked about this before, Lindsay. Are you at liberty to maybe share some of the details or some of the parts of the poem or the lyrics with us?
The title is called Collateral Damage. And for those that are not familiar with anything military type, the definition is damage inflicted on an unintended target. All right, so here we go. It took a really, really long time, but now I have time to rhyme. Many years I struggled to find significant others that were truly never mine. My own sabotage was too great, but I had not realized my own fate. I hurt so many, not knowing why. The thought of this still makes me want to cry. I was trying to find myself for years and could not find the way, but it happened in the strangest of ways one day. A ticking time bomb with those in my path. It was hard to pick up the pieces of each aftermath. I never meant to hurt any of you, as I found out it's just what survivors do. Now I know why I did all those things. The roller coaster of life lessons learned is what it brings. I am doing better now and my mind is clearer. Will he ever accept me is still my biggest fear. My body still aches as the trauma stayed inside. He did this to me as it made me run and hide. Lastly, I know it is all my brain could manage. My apologies to those, for you have been my collateral damage.
Beautiful, beautiful words.
Thank you.
And powerful too. Now, the single actually came out not that long ago. Here we are Now, this episode obviously is going to come out closer to the fall. Here we are, May 3rd. Today's May 3rd that we're recording this. And that single came out, was it a month ago?
It was right at the end of March. So
okay.
Probably weeks.
Okay.
But the intent to release it was for Sexual Assault Awareness Month.
Okay.
So that was the, not the like hurry up and do it, but we want everything in place for April.
Right.
Right before April started. So
wow. Very cool. That is very cool. And it's so I guess it's how do I want to say? I'm trying to find the words. Words are escaping me right now. But I guess what I'm trying to say is it makes more or double impact when obviously if it's coinciding on something such as military sexual, awareness or whatever the case is, trauma, whatever the event. And then on top of that is the aspect of the words, the energy, the impact going in. So using that, do you I guess part of that is, have you heard any feedback from the single as far as talking about it becoming like a healing message or healing word, anything like that? Have you heard anybody give you feedback on the?
I've heard a lot I've heard quite a bit of accolades for like, hey, thanks for doing that. Like, thanks for putting that out there. And with the intent of it, it is for healing and to to bring hope to those that I've been there. Like, it's just, some days it's really hard to get out of bed. Some days it's really hard to take a shower, the simple things that we take for granted. But yeah, it's a message of hope and healing, and also trying to promote some art therapy as well.
Okay.
So this I keep saying like it's a happy accident, but honestly, this was supposed to happen and meant to be.
It was meant to be. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. What has really, I guess, helped me along my healing journey has been the writing, and then also some of the events that the VA has provided with art therapy. So there was, this music one is just one piece to it. There's been mask making events. I've been honored and blessed to have done that one as well.
Very cool.
And then like the third part to that, or the second part to the mask, I should say, would be we have a really amazing photographer, veteran friend. He can, he has old timey photography equipment, and he actually took some pictures of me holding my mask before I designed it and decorated it. So at our event a couple of years ago, my mask was on display, my decorated mask. It had a narrative to it, but then I also had the portrait of me holding my mask behind it. So
very cool.
Yeah, it was pretty neat. And I know there are some other writing workshops coming up, how to, write a little bit better, or write poems, or write for intent. So those things are out there. And I will say that art has really helped me. I didn't think I had a creative part to my brain, but we all do. But that's the beauty of it, is like once you kind of tap into it, it just kind of turns into some beautiful things.
Right. No, absolutely. Absolutely. When we allow ourselves to express ourselves in a creative manner, right? There's some really cool things that we can, what would you tell people, Lindsay, if somebody goes, oh, I am not creative, I do not have a Martha Stewart bone in my body, as much as, as far as poems, roses are red and violets are blue is about as far as I can go. Maybe years in the military, maybe somebody from the military is saying, I don't know a clean poem. What would you tell people like that?
I would tell people like that, just try it. Like, just pick up a piece of pen or a piece of paper. You guys knew what I meant.
Right.
A piece of paper, a notebook, and a pen, and just see what happens. I mean, for me, like you just did it, roses are red, violets are blue. Like rhyming is very easy for me. And I also listen to a lot of word or song lyrics also, and if you hear them, it's either the second verse or second line or the third line. They usually rhyme.
Rhyme, yeah.
So try to rhyme. I would say if there's anything that's keeping you up at night, just try to write it down. It doesn't have to have a structure. I mean, that's probably us in the military. We need structure, or we hone in on structure. It doesn't need structure. It just has to be whatever you want it to be. Yeah, I would encourage, if something's keeping you up at night, to just write it down, see where it goes. I will say that the anchor being lifted from previously, I had written another poem called Drowning. And then I had talked about it before with all these groups of people I keep meeting. When I thought I was alone, I felt like I was on this island, and then I'm island hopping to this island. So I haven't gotten to that one yet, but I feel like island hopping might be like a really cool, like pontoon song or something.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, if they can write songs about Dixie cups or what, it's
Right.
like, but it's things that you're connecting. If you really think about it, a lot of not just country songs, but rock, it doesn't matter the genre, right? They're talking about experiences that people have had in life, or thoughts or feelings, and they're putting it into music and telling a story.
Absolutely.
And so I think that's so very powerful. And I think every one of us at some point in our life, has heard a song that has emotionally stirred us, whether keying us back to our younger memories, maybe back when we were a kid, of a fantastic summer that everything was just, the smells and the fun, or maybe it wasn't something that was so fun, or it could be something that was in our adulthood, right? So, songs can transport us as well, right?
Absolutely. And I will say, they're like, I probably started writing bad, like they were poems, but they were like not for everyone to see. And I had been asked the question, see or hear. I had been asked the question before, like, when did you start writing poems? And I was like, actually, I started writing poems in high school. They were not not releasable by any means, but they were, it was like,
Right.
looking back now, I can say that, yeah, I probably started in high school writing poems. So
Did you always, Lindsay, did you always connect to poetry, or did you always gravitate more to poetry or poems versus other things?
I guess it kind of depends. It depended on what was going on in Lindsay's life at that time. I will say probably throughout high school, like junior high and high school growing up, it might have been more music and lyrics, actually 90s alternative music. Like, that's my jam. But I would say, like, when we did literature or anything like that, I probably would gravitate more to the poems, but
Sure.
that was the, not wanting everybody to know that Lindsay likes poetry, probably.
Right. Oh, funny. So as a mom, as a veteran, as somebody that's still serving, what would you say to not only the young women out there, but the young men, and then also to the veterans, male and female, out there that are struggling, somebody that's, and it doesn't matter whether they're struggling from, whether it's sexual it doesn't matter. If they're struggling with something, what would be Lindsay's 2 cents as far as those folks go? What would you share with those?
So, first of all, if you would come to me, I would say I believe you. However, I'm not a trained professional provider. I would say there's no shame in getting help. Shame is what we do to ourselves, and it can be very destructive and degrading. And there's no problem in asking. There's no shame in asking for help. I would say, if you can find actually, let me back up a little bit. If you feel comfortable talking to somebody and telling them that, hey, I need help, and whatever it be, maybe they can help you try find the right avenue to get you to some help, to some mental health or whatever it is that you need. I was fortunate that I just kind of, started seeing different behaviors myself that wasn't me as a mother working shift work and being stressed out about everything because of lack of sleep. That's what I thought it was. And it really wasn't. It was everything I wasn't dealing with was resurfacing, and not in a good way. So there's tons of resources, and I don't we could have a whole segment on resources probably.
Sure. Absolutely.
But as long as you speak your truth, as long as you say it once, the rest of it gets a little bit easier. It gets a lot easier after that. After you say it once and you air it, it gets a lot easier. But having somebody you confide in, I would say, is number one. And then number two, asking them if they know or if you have the resources available to just seek some help. I will say that, for me, it's healing. The healing journey is I believe, this is Lindsay. This isn't the medical, anything medical or anything. And I can't speak to that anyway. But
Sure.
For me, I believe that healing is lifelong. I've read some articles that say you can be healed from, and I was like, well, can we, that's just my opinion. But if you're willing to do the work and you're willing to do the good work, there's hope and it gets better. And I will say it's been a while since Lindsay's come back around, but it's really good timing because my daughter's a senior. Also being a dance mom, it was a little bit different this year. I absolutely love watching dance, and this was probably the least amount of time I've ever spent in high school gyms.
Right.
Watching dance, which means that's probably getting better too, how those are ran, but that's a total different that's a different side.
Right.
But it's allowed me to be present in everything that she has going on this year, and
Nice.
Without seeking help and assistance and having these group of people. Group therapy is awesome. At first I didn't realize the impact it had on me, or why. I didn't understand the why. I'll say that. But these group of gals and guys that I know, we would do anything for each other. Last April, when we had one of our awesome snowstorms, I wasn't able to shovel or snowblow my own driveway, and one of my veteran friends just came over and said, hey, yeah, I'll shovel it for you. I was like, really? Yeah. So it's not just, you're not going in alone. You will have groups of people that you resonate with, and they will resonate with, and we support all of you.
That's beautiful. It's kind of interesting. You talk about your, the network, right? Veteran, you talk about a veteran network, but it's kind of interesting. We never do anything ever alone, truly, even though when we feel alone, but we don't come into this world alone, and we don't leave this world alone, right?
Absolutely.
Whether or not we feel alone, that's completely different. But
right.
quick question for you.
Mhm.
Since you are a dance mom, I'm a dance dad, so we have something a little bit in common. Now, one of the things now, in your opinion, when we shift our focus to the kids, because say if there's the military member struggling, right, and the family unit that is around them has to deal with the residual effects of all that, right? But when it comes to kids, whether they're struggling themselves or whatever, do you believe or do you feel, Lindsay, that it is essential for kids to have a outlet such as, in your case for your daughter, dance, or it could be, basketball, soccer, a activity. It doesn't have to be sport related, but do you feel that is uh, in a sense, I think I used the word essential for good mental health, not as, the mind, body, spirit?
Right. That's a great question. I absolutely 100% agree with you on that. Kids need healthy and positive outlets, especially within this last year. We all know how hard it's been,
Right.
not on them, but us as well, and not being able to go outside and enjoy everything. Yeah, it doesn't have to be sports. It can be like, mom or dad, can I have a violin? Or can you actually, I think I remember like asking for musical equipment growing up and I never got it. But now I have a bass guitar sitting in my bedroom. So
Did you grow up in a small house with thin walls? So if you were practicing in the next room over,
I think so. I definitely did for a drum set. I knew better. But yeah, it can be music. It can be paints, easel. I know STEM and like Lego. Like if you think about Legos, yeah, we grew up as them being toys. But actually, what kids can build with Legos right now, it's pretty incredible, as long as you follow the instructions in the box. But,
right.
yes, I believe we all need healthy outlets, and it's just, trial and error of what works best for you and what works best for them.
Right, right. I think that's very well said, and I was going to mention that too. Is that I think you talked about that a little bit, as well as is not only healthy outlets for the kids, but for adults as well, right? Because you talk about being involved in the VA, the local VA, with different events, making masks, different things like that, and regardless of where somebody is listening to this, there is an organization or a veterans group or something in your area. And, in as far as I know, there's nobody listening to it in very remote parts of maybe Alaska or somewhere, but there's still organizations even way out there. Right. And so, trying to find events or organizations that can support them and healthy living. Lindsay, let me ask you, where can somebody, if they're like, Dean, I want to listen to this single, where can they do that?
That is a great question. So, most of the music, either buying or listening apps, websites have the single available. I believe if you go to Spotify and Apple Music for purchase, it's usually 99 cents or $1.30, whatever they are now. It is that's if you would like to buy and download it. I know you can get to it on YouTube Music, YouTube and YouTube Music, Amazon Music. Yeah, basically all of them, and the four major ones. I've seen them on all of them, so it's pretty neat.
Nice.
So with that, and I should give the title and the artist.
Well, there you go. I was just gonna.
I was like, that's a great segue, right?
Yeah, there you go.
So the poem, with the permission of myself, that I gave to Alyssa Ruffin, is the artist. ALYSSA Ruffin, RUFFIN, Alyssa Ruffin. And she does have a YouTube channel. There are a couple of very cool videos, the making behind the scenes and actually the music video. And the poem turned produced song is called Collateral Damage.
Love it. Collateral damage. I think that just summarizes so much, right? And Lindsay, before we close today, is there anything that we forgot to cover? Is there anything else that you'd like to share with the world, everybody, the whole 2 people that are listening today?
Right. So if you get help, there's a better chance you'll heal, and there's always hope. So I call it the 3 H's. Like, I know we like to talk about acronyms, but those are the 3 H's that I think are pretty important. If you ask for help, it'll only help you heal, and there is hope. Nice.
I love that. Great way to end the segment, talking about the just reaching out and kind of raising your hand and saying, not being too proud to say, I need some help, right? If you need it, it's there, but it starts with action, right?
Absolutely.
So beautiful. So, well, Lindsay Nowlin, thank you so much for being a guest today. And not only that, but obviously be remiss if I didn't say thank you for your service. Thank you for having the courage to pen down some words that chilly February morning and really changing the lives of others. And I think that's what it's all about, because there's so many people that get the nudge or the urge or the tap on the shoulder. And a lot of times we're like, I'm tired or whatever the case is, and shrug it off. And so thank you for listening to that inner voice. And, thank you for showing up and stepping into your authentic self. So,
thank you.